In the last episode, humanity teetered on the brink of collapse, ravaged by environmental disaster and societal upheaval. A glimmer of hope emerged in the form of Ambrose Wynter, a charismatic entrepreneur with a vision to propel humanity forward. As I stood at the edge of the ravaged city, the wind whipping my hair into a frenzy, I gazed out upon the desolate wasteland that was once home to millions. The air reeked of smoke and ash, a constant reminder of the devastation that had been wrought. My mind wandered back to the early days when the world was on the cusp of collapse. I had made a decision then, a decision to take a stand and fight for a future that seemed lost to the annals of time. What if I could change the course of history? The thought had driven me then, and it still drove me now. I remembered the countless nights spent poring over blueprints and schematics, searching for a solution to the world's problems. And then, it hit me, a spark of inspiration that would become the catalyst for change. I recalled the words of my mentor, the great scientist, Dr. Alara Vex. In times of great turmoil, it is not the strongest that survive, but the most adaptable. Adaptability had become my mantra, my guiding principle in a world that seemed determined to crush me at every turn. I thought back to the early struggles, the long nights and endless battles to secure resources and build a team. The memories were etched into my mind like scars, a reminder of the journey that had brought me to this moment. As I stood there, the wind buffeting me with its relentless gusts, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment wash over me. We had come so far, and yet we still had so much to achieve. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps. A young woman, her dark hair tied back in a ponytail, emerged from the ruins of a nearby building. Her eyes locked onto mine, and I could see the determination burning within them. "Ambrose, we've received a transmission from the Galactic Union," she said, her voice firm and resolute. I turned to face her, my mind racing with the implications. The Galactic Union, a coalition of alien species that had long been wary of humanity's expansion into the galaxy. "What do they want?" I asked, my voice low and even. "The transmission is garbled, but it seems they wish to establish a dialogue," she replied, her eyes never leaving mine. I nodded, a plan already forming in my mind. This could be an opportunity, a chance to forge a new path and secure a future for humanity. As I turned to leave, I caught a glimpse of myself in a shattered window pane. The reflection showed a man in his mid-30s with piercing blue eyes and a strong jawline. My dark hair was flecked with threads of silver, a testament to the countless sleepless nights and unrelenting pressure. But it was not just my physical appearance that had changed. It was the fire that burned within me, a flame that had driven me to this moment. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the challenges ahead. The journey would be long and arduous, but I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not rest until humanity had claimed its rightful place among the stars. The young woman fell into step beside me as we walked towards the makeshift headquarters, a converted warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The walls were adorned with holographic displays and tactical maps, a testament to the countless hours spent planning and strategizing. As we entered, a chorus of voices greeted me, each one a reminder of the diverse group of individuals who had pledged their loyalty to me. There was Jax, my trusted friend and confidant, Dr. Sophia Patel, a brilliant scientist who had helped me develop the cutting-edge technology that had given us a chance to survive, and General Rachel Lee, a seasoned military leader who had fought by my side through thick and thin. The room fell silent as I approached the central table, a holographic display flickering to life before me. "Gentlemen, ladies, we have a new development. The Galactic Union has expressed interest in establishing a dialogue." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, each one offering a different perspective on the situation. I raised my hands, calling for silence. "Let us not speculate. We will listen to their proposal and then we will respond." The room fell silent once more, as I gazed out at the faces of those who had become my family. It was time to forge a new path, to navigate the treacherous landscape of alien politics and secure a future for humanity. and I was ready. As I stood there, the weight of responsibility settling onto my shoulders, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the cusp of something momentous. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was determined to ensure that we emerged victorious. But at what cost? The question echoed through my mind, a nagging voice that I couldn't silence. I pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. For now, I had to trust in my instincts, trust in the team that had formed around me, and trust that together we could achieve the impossible. The transmission from the Galactic Union was garbled, but the intent was clear. They wished to establish a dialogue. I nodded to myself, a plan already forming in my mind. It was time to take the first step on a journey that would change the course of history. Little did I know, the challenges ahead would test my resolve, my leadership, and my very soul. But I was ready. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not rest until humanity had claimed its rightful place among the stars. The room was filled with an air of anticipation as I began to outline my plan. We will send a delegation to the Galactic Union, a team that will represent humanity in this dialogue. The faces around me nodded, each one a testament to the trust they had placed in me. And then I dropped a bombshell. The delegation will be led by my most trusted ally, Jax. The room erupted into a chorus of gasps and whispers as I gazed out at the faces of those who had become my family. It was a decision that would change the course of history, a decision that would set us on a path from which there was no return. But I was ready, for I knew that in times of great turmoil it is not the strongest that survive, but the most adaptable. And I was determined to adapt, to evolve, and to lead humanity to a brighter future. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but I was undaunted. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not rest until humanity had claimed its rightful place among the stars. The stars. A shiver ran down my spine as I gazed out into the unknown. The galaxy was full of mysteries, full of wonders and terrors beyond my wildest imagination, and I was ready to face them head-on. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was determined to ensure that we emerged victorious. But as I stood there, the weight of responsibility settling onto my shoulders, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the cusp of something momentous, something that would change the course of history forever. And I was ready. The darkness closed in around me, a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. But I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not be defeated. The stars beckoned, and I was ready to answer. To be continued. As I stood at the edge of the makeshift headquarters, the neon lights of the city's ruins casting an otherworldly glow, I felt a sense of trepidation wash over me. The weight of responsibility, the burden of leadership, threatened to crush me at any moment. But I pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. Jax, my trusted friend and confidant, approached me, a look of concern etched on his face. "Ambrose, are you sure about this?" he asked, his voice low and urgent. I nodded, my mind made up. "Yes, I'm sure. You're the only one I can trust to lead this delegation." Jax hesitated, his eyes darting around the room. "But what about the risks? He's a high-value target, Ambrose. If anything happens to him..." I placed a hand on his shoulder, my grip firm. "I know the risks, Jax, but I also know that we need to take calculated risks if we're going to survive. And I trust you to get the job done." Jax nodded, a resolute look on his face. "All right, Ambrose, I'll do it." I turned to the rest of the team, my voice rising above the din of the room. "All right, let's get to work. We need to prepare for the delegation's departure. Sophia, can you hack into the Galactic Union's communication networks and gather intel on their fleet movements?" Dr. Sophia Patel nodded, her fingers flying across the console as she worked her magic. "Already on it, Ambrose." General Rachel Lee stepped forward, her eyes locked on mine. "And what about security, Ambrose? We can't just send Jax in blind." I nodded, my mind racing. "I want you to assemble a team of our best operatives, Rachel. They'll provide backup and support for Jax during the negotiations." The room erupted into a flurry of activity as the team sprang into action, each one working tirelessly to prepare for the critical mission ahead. As I watched, a sense of pride swelled within me. This was what humanity did best: adapt, innovate, and overcome, and I was proud to be a part of it. But as the hours ticked by, a nagging sense of unease began to creep in. What if we were walking into a trap? What if the Galactic Union had ulterior motives? I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. We would face whatever challenges came our way and we would emerge victorious. For I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not rest until humanity had claimed its rightful place among the stars. The hours flew by in a blur of activity, the team working tirelessly to prepare for the delegation's departure. Jack stood before me, his eyes locked on mine, as I handed him a small, intricately carved box. "What's this?" he asked, his brow furrowed in concern. "A gift," I replied, my voice low, "a symbol of our humanity. It's a reminder that we're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting for who we are." Jax nodded, a small smile on his face. "I'll make sure to wear it proudly, Ambrose." I watched as he turned and walked away, the weight of responsibility settling onto his shoulders. The room fell silent, as if the entire team was holding its breath. And then it was time. With a deep breath, Jack stepped out into the unknown, the fate of humanity hanging precariously in the balance. As the doors closed behind him, I felt a sense of trepidation wash over me. The darkness closed in, a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. But I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not be defeated. The stars beckoned, and I was ready to answer. To be continued. I stood rigid, my eyes fixed on the doors that had swallowed Jack's whole. The silence was oppressive, the weight of uncertainty crushing me. I could feel the eyes of my team upon me, waiting for me to make a move, to reassure them that everything would be all right, but I couldn't. Not yet. I took a deep breath, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. What if Jax was ambushed the moment he stepped out of the transport? What if the Galactic Union had set a trap, waiting for him to make a wrong move? I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. I had to keep my team moving, keep them focused on the mission. "Sophia, can you hack into the transport systems?" I asked, my voice low and urgent. "I need to know the moment Jax is in trouble." Dr. Patel nodded, her fingers flying across the console. "Already on it, Ambrose. I'll have eyes on the transport's feed in real time." I nodded, my mind racing with contingency plans. "Rachel, assemble a team of our best operatives. We need to be ready to move at a moment's notice if things go south." The general nodded, her eyes locked on mine. "Consider it done, Ambrose. We'll be ready to roll out within the hour." The minutes ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. I paced the room, my mind consumed by the what-ifs and the maybes. And then it came. A flicker of movement on the console, a sudden burst of static. "Ambrose, I've got something," Sophia called out, her voice laced with urgency. "It's Jack's transport. He's being hailed by the Galactic Union's flagship." I was by her side in an instant, my eyes fixed on the console. "Put it through," I snapped. The holographic display flickered to life, a towering figure materializing before us. Admiral Victor LaSalle, the Galactic Union's highest-ranking officer, gazed down at us with an air of superiority. "Greetings, Ambrose Wynter," he drawled. "I see you've sent a diplomat to negotiate with us." I stepped forward, my eyes locked on LaSalle's. "That's right, Admiral. Jax is here to discuss the terms of our cooperation." LaSalle's smile was a cold, calculating thing. "I think we can dispense with the pleasantries, Wynter. You know as well as I do that humanity's existence is a threat to the balance of power in this galaxy." I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine. This was it. This was the moment of truth. "I'm afraid we disagree, Admiral," I replied, my voice steady. "Humanity has a place among the stars, and we're not going to let anyone take that away from us." LaSalle's laughter was like a crack of thunder, echoing through the room. "We'll see about that, Wynter. Jax, you have 1 hour to convince me that humanity is worthy of existence. If you fail, the consequences will be dire." The transmission cut off, leaving us staring at a blank console. I turned to my team, my eyes locked on theirs. "It's time to make our move. We have 1 hour to change the course of history." The room erupted into a flurry of activity. each one of us knowing that the stakes had never been higher. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and it was up to us to tip the scales. I was Ambrose Wynter, and I would not rest until humanity had claimed its rightful place among the stars. But as I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were walking into a trap, that the darkness was closing in around us, waiting to strike. And I knew that I would do whatever it takes to save humanity, no matter the cost. I turned to Sophia, my eyes burning with intensity. Get me everything you can on the Galactic Union's flagship. I need to know their strengths, their weaknesses, their entire deployment strategy. Sophia nodded, her fingers flying across the console. Already on it, Ambrose. But I have to warn you, their encryption is top-notch. It'll take me at least 30 minutes to crack their systems. I glanced at my chrono, feeling the weight of time ticking away. Make it 20, Sophia. We can't afford to waste a single minute. Rachel stepped forward, her eyes locked on mine. Ambrose, I have a team of operatives ready to move out. What's the plan? I took a deep breath, my mind racing with possibilities. We need to get Jax out of there, and we need to do it fast. I want you to assemble a team of our best extraction specialists. Well, infiltrate the Galactic Union's flagship, get Jax, and get out before they even know what hit them. Rachel nodded, a fierce glint in her eye. Consider it done, Ambrose. We'll have Jax back in no time. I turned to Dr. Patel, my voice low and urgent. I need you to hack into the transport systems, find out where Jax is being held. We need to know exactly where to strike. The doctor nodded, her eyes locked on the console. I'm on it, Ambrose. I'll have the transport schematics in a few minutes. The room was a flurry of activity, each one of us working towards a single goal, getting Jax out alive. I stood at the center of the storm, my eyes locked on the clock, feeling the weight of time bearing down on us. And then it happened. Sophia's console beeped and she looked up, a look of triumph on her face. Ambrose, I've cracked their encryption. I have the Galactic Union's flagship schematics. I was by her side in an instant, my eyes scanning the console. Where is Jax being held? Sophia pointed to a section of the schematic. He's being held in the flagship's brig, level 3, section 7. But Ambrose, we have a problem. I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine. What is it? Sophia's voice was laced with concern. The brig is surrounded by multiple layers of security. We'll need to get past at least 20 guards to reach Jax. I felt a surge of adrenaline, my mind racing with possibilities. Well, make it work. Rachel, get your team ready. We're moving out in 15 minutes. The room erupted into a flurry of activity, each one of us knowing that the stakes had never been higher. We were walking into the heart of the Galactic Union's flagship, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. And I knew that I would stop at nothing to get Jax out alive. The silence was palpable as Rachel's team assembled, each operative checking their gear with methodical precision. Dr. Patel worked her magic, hacking into the transport systems to pinpoint Jax's location. Sophia continued to dig deeper into the Galactic Union's encrypted files, uncovering hidden vulnerabilities in their security grid. I surveyed the room, my gaze settling on each face. My team was the best of the best, handpicked for their exceptional skills and unyielding loyalty. WED faced impossible odds before, and WED emerged victorious every time. All right, let's review the plan, I said, my voice low and even. Rachel's team will infiltrate the brig, neutralize the guards, and extract Jax. Sophia will provide real-time intel, guiding us through the flagship's corridors. Dr. Patel will keep the transport systems online, ensuring our escape route remains clear. I paused, my eyes locking onto Rachel's. You'll have 10 minutes to get in, extract Jax, and get out. We can't afford to linger. The Galactic Union will respond swiftly to any breach. Rachel nodded, her jaw set in determination. Well, get it done, Ambrose. You can count on us. I turned to Sophia. Can you find a way to disable their internal sensors? We need to stay one step ahead of their security teams. Sophia's fingers flew across the console. I'm working on it, Ambrose. I should have a solution within the next 5 minutes. The room fell silent once more, each of us focused on our respective tasks. The tension was palpable, our collective determination and focus forged into a formidable force. And then it was time. Rachel's team moved out, disappearing into the darkness of the flagship's corridors. Sophia's console beeped, signaling shed cracked the internal sensor grid. Dr. Patel gave a thumbs up, confirming the transport systems were online and ready for our escape. I watched the clock, the seconds ticking away with agonizing slowness. We were in the heart of the Galactic Union's stronghold, surrounded by enemies, with the fate of humanity balancing on a knife's edge. But I knew my team. I knew their strengths, their weaknesses, and their unwavering dedication to our cause. Together, we would overcome any obstacle, no matter the cost. The clock ticked down to 0. It was go time. "Let's move out," I whispered, my voice carried away by the silence. The darkness swallowed us whole and we vanished into the unknown, our fate hanging precariously in the balance. We were in the airlock hissed open and we spilled into the flagship's corridors, our footsteps echoing off the cold metal walls. Sophia's hacked sensor grid provided real-time intel, guiding us through the labyrinthine passageways. Dr. Patel's magic kept the transport systems online, a lifeline back to safety. Rachel's team fanned out, their silenced weapons at the ready. We moved swiftly, our footsteps light, avoiding detection by the Union's internal security teams. The tension was palpable, my heart racing with anticipation. A faint hum grew louder and Sophia's console beeped, signaling an approaching patrol. Rachel's team melted into the shadows, waiting for the guards to pass. I held my breath, my hand on the grip of my pistol as the patrol strode by, their footsteps receding into the distance. We continued onward, the silence punctuated only by the soft beeps from Sophia's console. We were getting close, the brig's location pinpointed on our internal maps. A soft hiss heralded the opening of the brig's door and Rachel's team flowed inside. I followed, my eyes adjusting to the dim lighting. Jack stood tall, his eyes locked onto mine. A mixture of determination and relief etched on his face. "We've got you, Jax," Rachel whispered as her team efficiently dispatched the guards and freed him from his restraints. Jack stretched, his muscles flexing, a hint of a smile on his lips. "Thanks for the rescue, Ambassador." I clapped him on the back. "Anytime, Jax. Now let's get out of here." The team fell into step, our movements swift and silent. We had Jax and we had the intel. It was time to exit stage left. The darkness swallowed us once more as we made our way back to the transport. The silence was oppressive, the tension building with every step. Suddenly, Sophia's console shrieked, the alarm blaring in our ears. "What's happening?" I demanded, my heart racing. "It's the Union's internal sensors," Sophia replied, her voice tight with urgency. "They've detected our presence. We have to move now." Dr. Patel's fingers flew across her console as the transport's engines roared to life. We were running out of time, the Union's security teams closing in. Rachel's team formed up, their weapons at the ready. We were about to make our exit, but it wouldn't be quiet. It wouldn't be easy. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. A figure emerging from the shadows, a figure I knew all too well. "Kale," I whispered, my heart sinking. The traitor smiled, his eyes glinting with malice. "Ambrose, you're just in time to join the party." The darkness closed in, and I knew we were in trouble. Deep trouble. Kale's smile grew, his eyes never leaving mine. "You see, Ambrose, I've been waiting for this moment, the perfect opportunity to repay your hospitality." Sophia's console beeped furiously, the transport's engines revving higher. Dr. Patel called out, "Ambrose, we need to leave now." I didn't move, my gaze locked on Kale. "You're a little late to the party, Kale. We've got what we came for." Kale chuckled, his voice dripping with venom. "Oh no, Ambrose, you don't have anything. You have no idea what's about to happen." Rachel's team fanned out, their weapons trained on Kale. I raised a hand for stalling them. "Let's hear him out, Rachel." Kale's smile grew wider. "Very well. You see, Ambrose, I've been playing both sides against each other. The Union, the Resistance. They both think they have the upper hand, but I do. The transport's engines roared to life, the ship shuddering beneath our feet. Dr. Patel's voice was urgent. "Ambrose, we have to leave. The Union security teams are almost upon us." I took a step forward, my eyes never leaving Cale. "What do you want, Cale?" Cale's gaze flicked to Jax, then back to me. "I want what you want, Ambrose. Power. And am willing to do whatever it takes to get it." The airlock hissed open and Rachel's team flowed out, their weapons covering our retreat. I turned to follow, but Cale's voice stopped me. "Ambrose, don't think you've won. This is far from over. You have no idea what's coming." I turned back, our eyes locking in a silent challenge. The darkness swallowed us whole as we made our escape into the unknown. The transport's engines screamed in protest as we burst into the night sky, leaving the Union security teams and Cale's ominous warning behind. I felt Rachel's hand on my shoulder, her grip firm as she guided me to the cockpit. "Ambrose, we need to jump into hyperspace now." Dr. Patel's voice was laced with urgency, her fingers flying across the console. I nodded, my mind racing with the implications of Cale's betrayal. Sophia's console beeped in rhythm with my own racing heart as I took the pilot's seat. "Hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. The transport shuddered, stars blurring around us as we fled into the unknown. I exhaled slowly, my eyes fixed on the swirling vortex ahead. Cale's parting words echoed in my mind like a challenge. "You have no idea what's coming." Rachel settled beside me, her eyes scanning the horizon. "What did Cale mean, Ambrose?" I shook my head, my gaze drifting to Jax, who stood at the edge of the cockpit, his eyes fixed on the hyperspace tunnel. "I'm not sure, but I think we're about to find out." Dr. Patel called out from the rear of the ship, "Ambrose, I'm picking up an encrypted transmission from the Resistance." I raised an eyebrow, my heart rate quickening. "Put it through, Dr. Patel." A holographic display flickered to life beside me, casting an eerie glow across the cockpit. A hooded figure materialized, their voice distorted by a digital mask. "Ambrose Wynter, this is Nova from the Resistance. We've been monitoring your endeavors. You've managed to upset the balance of power in the galaxy." I leaned forward, my mind racing with possibilities. "What do you want, Nova?" The hooded figure chuckled, the sound like gravel scraping against metal. "We want to offer you a deal, Ambrose. Join forces with us and together we can bring down the Union and forge a new order in the galaxy." Rachel's grip on my shoulder tightened, her eyes locked on mine. I felt Jack's gaze on me, his silence a palpable presence. I smiled, a plan beginning to take shape in my mind. "I'm listening. Nova, tell me more." The hooded figure nodded, their voice dripping with anticipation. "Meet us on the planet of Tartarus Roman 4. We'll discuss the terms of our alliance and the price of power." The transmission ended, leaving us surrounded by an unsettling silence. I turned to Rachel, my eyes locking onto hers. "It seems we have a new player in the game, Rachel. One who's willing to take risks and push the boundaries of what's possible." Rachel's gaze narrowed, her voice barely above a whisper. "And what's the cost, Ambrose? What's the price of power?" I smiled, a cold calculation spreading through my veins. "That's what we're about to find out, Rachel. Together, we'll forge a new path, one that will change the course of history forever." As I turned back to the hyperspace tunnel, I felt Jack's eyes on me, his silence a reminder that in this game of power, allegiances were fleeting and loyalty was a luxury we couldn't afford. The stars blurred around us, a mesmerizing vortex that seemed to stretch on forever. I felt the weight of Rachel's gaze, her unspoken questions hanging in the air like a challenge. "Jax, can you scan for any signs of pursuit?" I asked, my voice low and even. Jax nodded, his eyes flicking to the console. "I'm not picking up any Union ships, Ambrose. We've got a clear path to Tartarus Roman 4. I exhaled slowly, my mind racing with possibilities. Nova's offer had sparked a fire within me, a sense of purpose that went beyond mere survival. Dr. Patel's voice interrupted my thoughts, her tone laced with concern. "Ambrose, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures near Tartarus Roman 4. It's possible the Resistance is hiding something." I raised an eyebrow, my instincts on high alert. What kind of energy signatures, Dr. Patel? Uncertain. But they are not natural. It's almost as if they are cloaking something. Rachel's grip on my shoulder tightened, her eyes locked on mine. Ambrose, what are we walking into? I smiled, a calculated risk taking shape in my mind. That's what we're about to find out, Rachel. Prepare the ship for entry into Tartarusiv's atmosphere. Well, take it from there. The transport shuddered, stars blurring around us as we emerged from hyperspace. Tartarus Roman 4 loomed before us, a twisted world of ravaged landscapes and toxic skies. Descending into atmosphere, Dr. Patel called out, her voice steady. I felt Jack's gaze on me, his silence a reminder that in this game of power, nothing was as it seemed. The Resistance's true intentions remained a mystery, but I was ready to take that risk. The transport shuddered, buffeted by turbulent winds as we plunged into the heart of Tartarus Roman 4. I leaned forward, my eyes locked on the viewscreen. Nova, this is Ambrose Wynter. We've arrived. Let's discuss the terms of our alliance. The comms system crackled, Nova's distorted voice echoing through the cockpit. Welcome, Ambrose. We've been expecting you. Follow the beacon to our base of operations. But be warned. Not everyone is pleased with our little arrangement. I smiled, a cold calculation spreading through my veins. I'm not afraid of a little opposition, Nova. Let's get down to business. The transport landed with a jolt, engines dying down as the silence of Tartarus Roman 4 enveloped us. I turned to Rachel, my eyes locking onto hers. Stay close, Rachel. We're about to dance with the devil himself. As we stepped out into the toxic air, I felt Jack's presence behind me, his silence a reminder that in this game of power, loyalty was a luxury we couldn't afford. The Resistance's true intentions remained a mystery, but I was ready to take that risk. For now, the price of power was worth the gamble. The air reeked of sulfur and smoke, the acrid scent burning my lungs as we made our way through the winding tunnels of Tartarusiv's underground base. Nova's beacon led us deeper, the silence between us thick with tension. Rachel's hand brushed against mine, a subtle reassurance as we navigated the dimly lit corridors. Jax trailed behind, his eyes scanning the shadows, ever vigilant. We turned a corner and a figure emerged from the darkness. Nova's features were obscured by a hood, their voice low and gravelly. Ambrose Wynter, welcome to our humble abode. I trust you're prepared to discuss the terms of our alliance. I smiled, extending a hand in greeting. Nova, we've come a long way to forge this partnership. Let's get down to business. Nova's gaze flicked to Rachel, then Jack's before returning to me. Follow me. We trailed behind Nova, the tunnels twisting and turning like a maze. The air grew thick with the smell of fuel and machinery, the hum of engines growing louder. We emerged into a cavernous space, the walls lined with rows of makeshift workstations and scavenged equipment. The Resistance's operatives worked with a sense of urgency, their faces set with determination. Nova led us to a makeshift command center, a holographic display flickering above the console. This is our proposal, Ambrose. We'll provide you with the resources and manpower to take down the Galactic Council. In return, You'll grant us autonomy and recognition as a sovereign entity within the Empire. I studied the hologram, my mind racing with the implications. And what of the energy signatures Dr. Patel detected? Nova's smile was a cold, calculated thing. Ah, yes, our little secret. We've developed a technology that allows us to harness the planet's energy. It's a game changer, Ambrose. With this, we can cripple the Council's fleet and secure our place in the galaxy. I felt Rachel's grip on my arm tighten, her eyes locked on mine. Jack's silence was a warning, a reminder that we didn't know the full extent of the Resistance's plans. I'll need to discuss this with my team, Nova, but I think we can come to an agreement. Nova's hooded gaze narrowed. I'm afraid time is of the essence, Ambrose. The Council is closing in on us. We need your answer now. I hesitated, the weight of the decision settling heavy on my shoulders. The price of power was worth the gamble, but at what cost? As I turned to Rachel and Jax, I knew I had to make a choice. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was the only one who could tip the scales. "Very well, Nova," I said, my voice low and even. "We have a deal." Nova's smile was a cold, calculated thing, but it was the spark in their eyes that made my skin crawl. We had just danced with the devil, and I wasn't sure if we'd emerge unscathed. The silence that followed was oppressive, the air thick with tension as Nova's operatives began to stir, their faces set with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Rachel's grip on my arm remained firm, her eyes searching mine for reassurance. Jack's gaze was fixed on Nova, his expression unreadable. I forced a smile, attempting to reassure them that I knew what I was doing. "Let's get to work, Nova. We have a galactic council to topple." Nova's smile grew, their eyes glinting with a sinister intensity. "Excellent. I'll have my team brief you on the details. We'll need to move swiftly if we're to capitalize on this opportunity." As Nova turned to leave, Rachel's voice was barely above a whisper. "Ambrose, are you certain this is the right decision?" I squeezed her hand, trying to inject confidence into my tone. "We have no other choice, Rachel. We need the Resistance's resources if we're to have any hope of taking down the Council." Jack's low growl was a warning, but I ignored it, my focus fixed on Nova's disappearing figure. The next few hours were a blur of strategy sessions and equipment checks. Nova's operatives worked with a precision that bordered on fanaticism, their dedication to the cause almost palpable. As the briefing concluded, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were merely pawns in a much larger game. The scale of the Resistance's plans was staggering, their technology a quantum leap beyond anything I'd seen before. But at what cost? The question nagged at me, refusing to be silenced. Rachel's touch on my arm was a gentle reminder of the bond we shared. "We need to talk, Ambrose. Alone." I nodded, following her to a secluded corner of the cavernous space. Jax positioned himself nearby, a silent sentinel. "Ambrose, I know you think you're making the right decision," Rachel began, her voice laced with concern, "but we can't trust the Resistance. They're using us for their own gain." I sighed, the weight of my responsibility settling heavy on my shoulders. "I know, Rachel, but what choice do we have? We can't take on the Council alone." Rachel's gaze was piercing. "That's not the point. The point is that we're dancing with the devil, and we don't know the full extent of his plans. What if this technology is more than just a means to harness energy? What if it's a weapon?" I hesitated, the seed of doubt planted. "I'll look into it, Rachel, I promise." But as I turned to leave, Nova's voice echoed through the cavern, their words laced with an unsettling enthusiasm. "Prepare for departure, everyone. We have a council to topple and the fate of humanity to secure." The air was electric with anticipation, the Resistance's operatives scrambling to their stations. I felt Rachel's hand slip from mine, her eyes locked on mine with a warning. As I turned to follow Nova, I knew that we were walking into the unknown, the consequences of our actions yet to be revealed. The darkness of the cavern was suddenly bathed in a warm, golden light as the Resistance's ships powered up, their engines humming to life. Rachel's words still lingered in my mind, a nagging sense of unease that I couldn't shake. I pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. "Nova, what's the plan?" I asked, striding towards the lead ship. Nova's smile was radiant. "We'll make a show of force, Ambrose, a demonstration of our capabilities. The Council will be forced to take us seriously." I nodded, trying to quell the doubts that still lingered. As we lifted off, the cavernous space was left far behind, replaced by the endless expanse of stars. The ships formed up around us, a formidable fleet that would send a clear message to the Galactic Council. The silence on the bridge was tense, the only sound the soft hum of the engines and the quiet beeps of the consoles. I stood tall, my eyes fixed on the stars ahead, my mind racing with the possibilities. What would the Council's response be? Would they back down, or would they strike back with force? The questions swirled in my mind as we hurtled through space, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. Suddenly, the comms officer's voice cut through the silence. "Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council." I turned, my heart pounding in my chest. Nova's eyes met mine, a cold, calculating glint in their depths. "Let's hear it," I said, my voice firm. The comms officer nodded and the council's ambassador appeared on the view screen, their face a mask of superiority. "Ambrose Wynter," they began, their voice dripping with condescension, "you've made a grave mistake. The Galactic Council will not be threatened by the likes of you." I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "We're not threatening you, Ambassador. We're offering an alternative. One that will benefit all species, not just the privileged few." The ambassador sneered. "You're no better than the terrorists you've allied yourself with. You'll be dealt with accordingly." The transmission cut off, leaving us in silence once more. Nova's smile grew, their eyes glinting with a fierce intensity. "It seems we've got their attention," they said, their voice dripping with malice. I nodded, a cold, hard determination settling in my chest. It was time to take the next step, to forge a new path, one that would secure humanity's place in the galaxy. But at what cost? The question echoed in my mind, a constant reminder of the dangers we faced. I pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. We had a council to topple,